Hi, I'm Sandy with Lightning Tools, and I'm here again with Brett. Hi, Brett.
Hey Sandy, how you doing?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah,
Uh,
doing well, doing well.
yep, good. Today, we're just going to do a quick how-to video on setting up our new news feed view, news view in the Lightning Conductor. So this is the new version that's being released this month, and by popular customer request, we've added a view for news, a couple of different views for news, so that you can aggregate news from your site or from whatever scope you want, really. And just kind of as a comparison to the SharePoint out of the box news web part, which exists, the Lightning Conductor, as always, gives you some more flexibility as far as the scope that you want to choose to aggregate your news from and the things that you want to show in your news.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So I've actually just got the builds in my inbox this morning, so we're ready to push those changes out. We did do the webinar last week as well, so if anybody wants to see more about the Lightning Conductor as a whole, then it'd be great to go and check that out. You can go to lightningtools.com and click onto the webinars, and you'll see the recorded webinar there, and you'll be able to see an hour's worth of material about the Lightning Conductor. But yeah, today, as you mentioned, we're going to focus just on this new feature, which is around the news aggregation. And you might think, well, this isn't groundbreaking. There's news web parts already that does the aggregation within a hub. You can also go through and specify different sites using the news web parts and build some nice views around that content using those. But the Lightning Conductor is a product that has existed for many years, like 17 years now, as a content aggregation tool. It really is a leading tool in that area. And once upon a time, it was aggregating just SharePoint lists and SharePoint libraries. It's extended to also aggregate from the Graph API, so you can go against other apps inside of Microsoft 365 like Planner and To Do and OneDrive, etc. And you can also get to external connectors. So if you wanted to bring in content from things like Jira and so on, you can do all of that. And these are all the things that are actually in that webinar that you can go through and take a look. So the reason why I'm saying all of that is one thing that we really sort of overlooked, and we've had that request coming in from our customer base is, what about news? If you are using the Lightning Conductor for this aggregation, then you can now also use it for the news aggregation as well. And you can do a lot more, as you pointed out, with the scope. So you could go beyond just the existing hub, or sorry, the current hub that you're in. You could actually say, I want to aggregate news from all of these other hubs as well. And it's not just a case of selecting individual sites like with the news web part. You can say the hub sites and the associated sites with all these other hubs as well. Or you can even say the entire tenant and then use audience targeting or filters and so on to get the content across that you want to get across. And from that point of view, you might be thinking, well, what about performance? It can use search in order to be able to drive that. So even though you're going against a tenant, it's pretty much instantaneous because it's indexed content that we're aggregating and then displaying inside the web part. So that all being said, let's have a look at it. So if I just go in and edit my page here, this is actually a Viva Connections site. Doesn't have to be a Viva Connections site. It could be a standard SharePoint site or a SharePoint home site or whatever else we want to call them nowadays. So what I'm going to do is just come in and add the Lightning Conductor, which you can see here on my web part selector. It's at the very top for me because, of course, I'll use it a lot. So we've got the web part added there, and I'm actually going to go and add it twice, in fact. So we'll have two instances of that Lightning Conductor, and the reason I'm doing that is to show you the two different types of views that we can get at. Now, if you're familiar with the Lightning Conductor already, you'll know that you've got the quick configuration and you've also got the advanced configuration. The difference between them, there's quick configuration for generic things like news aggregation or tasks or documents and things like that. You can be there within 4 seconds, have a web part that's already configured, and then you can get to refine it afterwards. It's a great starting point. So you can do all of that in the quick configuration, and the advanced mode allows you to be very more or much more specific about what you're doing. So if there were certain lists and libraries that you wanted to include, or certain columns that are custom columns that you wanted to include in your views, that sort of thing, that's where you would go to do all of that. And you can go there and configure news aggregation as well. We're going to spend most of our time in a quick configuration. So this demo should take 8 seconds in theory. So in the drop down here, that's without explanation.
Right.
So yeah. So in the drop down, we've got news, which wasn't appearing there before. So I'm just going to go through and select that. There's only one way of refining this, just all news. So we then get to select the scope. So the scope could be the current site and the associated sites, current tenant, and so on. And again, you could be more granular than that if you jump into the advanced mode, which we'll be taking a look at. But I'm going to go with the current site and any associated sites, so the hub basically. And then we've got the two different JSON views that have been created, and you don't need to know JSON or anything like that. You can just use these. But keep in mind that if you are that way inclined and you want to get your hands dirty and refine these a bit more, you can actually go and write your code. But we have also exposed certain properties that allow you to also further configure these without having to write code, which we'll be getting into. So the carousel view, let's just save that one. Here you can see I've got a carousel of news. It's showing me the images associated with that news. We've got the headline, we've got the description, and then we've also got some of that other metadata coming in, like is there any comments, likes, what was the date of the published news, and things like that. And that's the sort of thing we can then go through and refine. So if you've added custom columns to your news pages as metadata, you can go through and use those. If you are on a Viva Connections site or a home site, and this is your intranet that you're designing, you might not want the Lightning Conductor command bar to show. It certainly shows or serves a purpose, but it's more useful maybe when you're in a SharePoint team site or within Teams or something. So you'll notice whilst I've got the property pane open here for the Lightning Conductor, I could go through and hide all these options so it just looks a little bit slicker
nice and clean.
on the page. Yeah, exactly. So that's our first carousel one. I'm going to jump across to the other one and just show you the list view for the news. So again, I'm going to choose the same scope, but we'll select list. And yeah, you can see we've got the list format coming back now. And again, I'm going to hide all those properties to get rid of that command bar. And these are fully responsive. So a great experience if you're on a mobile device or what have you. You can see how that's changed. So when it's in a smaller pane, it's obviously condensing that text and so on. So there's the aggregation. And if we go into the properties, this is in the advanced mode now. I'll go to the display properties, and this is what I was referring to about being able to change some of those different settings. So there is the JSON. You can view the JSON, you can copy that, make it your own, refine it, and so on. But equally, some of these are mapped to parameters. As you can see, we've got this change seconds and news count parameters and so on. So rather than hard coding that in the JSON, the property is exposed here. So if I wanted this to change every 5 seconds, I can set that value to 5 and it will change every 5 seconds. We've got the news count set to 5 as well. So you could increase or decrease that. And then you can also go through and map things like your description column, the URL column, the likes count column, etc. So yeah, if you decided maybe for some reason that you wanted a custom column as a description column, this is the sort of thing you can go through and map. Otherwise, it would just map to the standard one. So we'll just hit save on that, and let's republish, and you should see that every 5 seconds the carousel will change to another news feed. There we go. So we've got the next one, nice. And so on. Yeah, it's a lovely little feature to work with that. And I think, incidentally, since we're on the subject of Viva Connections, you'll notice in here I've also got an adaptive card created with the Lightning Conductor on it. It's the one that reads documents. And it's I'm just going to mention this because it's something that is quite often overlooked with the Lightning Conductor. But you can go into your Viva Connections dashboard, and yeah, you can add a web part on here. So if we just go in and edit this one, we could add the Lightning Conductor as a card. So here it is. So we can just simply drop that on. And if you have a look at the configuration of this one, we've got the card size. We've also got a title, so it's just reading documents. And then we point it to a Lightning Conductor instance. So it's going to a specific site, grabbing the name of the Lightning Conductor. And we've then got this this message to say how many documents or how many tasks or whatever has been aggregated.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got the view count and so on that you can control in there. So yeah, the outcome of that is, maybe if you're using a phone with the Viva Connections page,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to see, yeah, there's new tasks assigned to me, or there's uh, documents checked out to me, or whatever it might be, and then you can hit that view items to actually go through and navigate through that content and see it.
Very cool.
So yeah, a great addition if you're using Viva Connections and intranets and so on to have that content there.
Yep, great. Yep, sounds good.
Was
Thanks.
that longer than 8 seconds? So
It might have been.
maybe you can edit it.
But yeah, thanks very much. And yeah, next month is going to be Lightning Forms. So we'll probably get some how-to videos up there about some new features on Lightning Forms.
Yeah, I think before that as well, there's another new feature in the Lightning Conductor that we could maybe talk about next week, and that's the calendar
Yeah.
aggregation. There's lots of different places where you can have events or things that you might want to see in a calendar. So again, not a new feature. We've refined it a little bit in this build, but yeah, we'll visit that next week.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
All
Thanks.
right.
Talk to you later.
Take care. Bye,
Bye.
Sandy.